Hey everyone, let's talk about Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace, especially starting the book and not DNFing it. I am not finished with the book. I'm currently halfway through and I see myself finishing the book. But I can see how a lot of people started and not finished. So what I want to do today is give you my experience with the book and what you need to continue reading the book. And I separated this into three parts. The first part is what did I know when I went into the book? And that was basically nothing. I knew that it was long and it was complicated. And I also knew that a lot of people requested me to read the book ever since I started booktubing. Being me, that doesn't really matter because, I like to go into books blind. I don't mind not knowing what's going to happen. I don't mind surprises. And I think I'm perfectly suited to finish this book and read this book because it's so up my alley. But for you, I also give you in the second category, what you should know going into the book. And the first thing is that the story doesn't matter. No, really. The story is not what keeps you reading. It's not what keeps you invested in the book. It's what keeps you turning the pages. The story is told from multiple perspectives. It has multiple characters. They are all introduced after each other at random things. And often you don't even know who's who and who's important. Because you have to be prepared to not have a clue for at least 200 pages of the book. Seriously, after 200 pages, things start getting explained. You go back to something where you're like, hey, I understand what happened 100 pages ago. Or you get an explanation about who that character is that was mentioned before, or the slang that was used, and you're like, I don't even know what they're talking about because I don't understand the word they are using. But then it gets explained. But that doesn't start to like 200 pages in. I'm currently halfway through the book and just now the political situation is starting to be explained. So I'm finally figuring out what all this mention about time and Canada and all these things, where it's there, where it's coming from, and now it makes a lot more sense. But that's 400 pages into the book. And I think you have to know that because a lot of people stop after 100 pages if they're not into a book. And this book, you need 200 pages at least to understand a word of what's going on. And you should know that going into the book. So in my third part, I want to tell you what helps you continue reading. It really helps if you don't mind reading books where you don't really know what's going on for a long time. If you don't really need a story to make sense or characters to be fully rounded from the beginning and introduced properly. The book is told nonlinear, and that is something you definitely need to enjoy reading and understand and know how to read. Because if you only read linear books and like linear stories, you will not enjoy this book. You will not finish this book because it is frustratingly nonlinear and really, really gives you a lot of time between chapters where you don't know what's going on. The second chapter, I don't think we've seen the character in that book again. I don't know what's going on with him. I don't think I know his name. Another thing that helps you finishing the book is if you like long, detailed episodes of something. Might be dialogue, might be descriptions, might be memories, but just long and endless. It's very detailed, and sometimes you drift off and you don't know if it's important. So yeah, if you like that, you have a better chance of finishing this book. Just as well if you like writing for writing's sake. Sometimes you just sit there and think like, wow, this was really well written. Maybe the rest of it is just like what's going on, but you appreciate the writing. And if you like that, you have a very good chance of finishing this book. So these are things that I discovered reading the book. And I noticed after 200 pages that I definitely have to read this book again to fully understand it. But I could not see myself reading a 1,000-page book again. That is basically not that enjoyable to read because you don't have a clue of what's going on. And yes, it is fun, but it is very long-winded and slow. And so what I did is I got the audiobook. I'm listening to the audiobook a little bit delayed. So I basically get a reread of the book already in while reading it the first time. And that so helps me understand what's going on because, of course, I forgot something that happened in the first 100 pages that didn't make any sense, but now gets explained at page 350. So re-listening to the book while I'm still reading it is actually helping me understand the book better. Maybe that's something you should consider as well if you really want to finish this book. If you're not interested in not plot-driven, not character-driven not anything driven books, but for the writing and the challenge and the experience of the book, don't pick it up. You will have no chance of finishing it. So, tell me in comments if you have ever started Infinite Jest, why you stopped it, or if you have finished it, if you have any other advice or things people should know going into the book, about the book. You noticed I haven't talked about the story. It's sort of about tennis and a lot of drugs, as far as I can tell for now. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.